Yo, 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 what is going on, team? This is Art, and today I'm going to be going over my trade recap for today, March 17th, 2021. Today is Wednesday, and we had Federal Open Market Committee, and I'm mainly going to be going over my big trades that I took today, trading in the stock market using options, and overall what my mentality was taking these trades, why I was taking them, why I exited, and overall just the performance that I had trading today in the market. So really quickly, I just want to show you guys, here are a few of my trades. Well, a few, there's a lot of them. I took a loss on AMD swings and on Exxon swings, and I took a small profit on Tesla, QQQ, Airbnb, and Nano Dimension, but my main wins were on Boeing, Apple, Costco, and RIOT. These are a lot of my entries. I mean, feel free to look through those. But here is the just general setup for what I saw in these trades that ended up yielding me above $12,000. So let's peep it out. So firstly, we have RIOT. RIOT yielded me almost $6,500 alone, and I played this basically off of this 200 SMA bounce that we saw in pre-market. This was also because I started seeing that we came out of the oversold in terms of RSI, and we bounced again on top of that 200-day moving average. So with that in mind, we started to cross over, and as soon as we started crossing over, we ended up ripping to the upside. And as of right now, it is up even another dollar in after hours. I sold upon the 50 SMA break, so I sold at around like maybe 61.5 to 62 because I didn't want to get caught in this super overbought area. But overall, it was a $6,500 profit for RIOT. Next, we have Costco. Costco was a trade that was kind of I want to say kind of a given, mainly because of the action that we had. It's been kind of flat recently ever since it peaked out at about 333. But notice that we broke above the 200-day moving average. Once we did that, I was very comfortable taking a position, and I took the 330 calls for the 16th or for the 9th of this month. Of April. So I did give myself plenty of time, and I took a in the money position for my strike. And so we broke above the 200-day moving average, and my price target was to get back above this 50 SMA, and we ended up breaking above it. So I'm actually swinging a new position in Costco. I'm currently up about $300 as we speak. But notice that as soon as we broke above the 200-day moving average, we started to cross over to the upside. And notice that our MACD went from pretty our RSI went from pretty bearish into bullish. So overall, I think Costco is a pretty strong buy as of right now, which is why I am swinging it. And I think that this is a bull pennant. So ideally, we break above 333 tomorrow, and we continue to ride this thing even higher, ideally to like 340. For this kind of almost like a cup and handle. It's kind of you got to be very abstract with the setup, but overall we have a crossover, and that's the main thing I'm playing here, along with this pinged reversal to the upside at 326.66. So overall, I'm very comfortable holding on to Costco, especially with the long expiry that I took. And that recaps Costco. For Costco, I locked in 35.25, and I have an open win right now of 375. Next, we have Apple. Apple was kind of a weird play, mainly because of how it opened up semi-green and then ended up kind of just falling through the rest of the day with the rest of the market. So notice, again, we have this kind of falling out for our candles, but we bounced onto the 200-day moving average, and we didn't really dip below there. So this was our bottom, and notice we pinged a reversal to the upside at 122.83. So that was my signal to buy in, and coupled with Federal Open Market Committee being very bullish in terms of reaction, we saw this thing rocket ship upwards and ended up yielding me about $3,400 in terms of profit. So overall, that was a pretty good trade. I entered in as soon as I got the reversal, and I rode it all the way up to about 325, and then I got a little sussed out, so I ended up selling, and it kind of hung out for the rest of the day. I also took a pretty decent profit on Boeing. This was kind of a weird play, mainly because of the recent action that it's been having, but the way I saw Boeing was that Boeing had a rounding bottom last night. This was in my watch list, actually, and so we have a rounding bottom. We never really fell below 250, which was kind of my support line. And so as long as we stayed above 250, I was fairly bullish as I saw that the MACD was starting to cross and flatten out to go to the upside. And so notice that we were never falling below that 250 line, and we reclaimed the 9 and 20 SMA. So the logical thing to do was to take this as like a bull flag play and then ride it upwards to 50 SMA, which is exactly what I did. I didn't play a very big position size. However, I did end up playing this and I made about $1,200. Overall, pretty strong buy right here. Then I took a nano dimension. This was on actual shares. So the plan was play off of the 200-day moving average and reset from oversold in terms of RSI. We had a crossover later in the day and we had a bull flag set up. So overall, I mean, for shares, it was pretty strong. I made about $800, but I did put in, I want to say, like $15,000. So obviously, you know, it's like a 7% profit, but overall pretty good. And that kind of concludes my day trades that I took today. I mainly just wanted to quickly go over a few charts that I was looking at. So let me put up the futures, and then I'll put up QQ. Actually, I'll put up Amazon. So firstly, here are our futures. ES is SPY, and Q is QQQ. And notice they're both super flat in pre-market, so it's just something to consider. But the main thing that I'm looking at in terms of pre-market here is that we had this rising wedge here, and notice that we fell back below 9 SMA. I wouldn't be surprised if we fell to 50 SMA or even 20 SMA and bounced. I'm going to be playing it pretty light tomorrow, mainly because I'm a little uncertain because of how hard we gapped to the upside because of the FOMC. But notice we pinged a reversal at 39.31 or at 12.995, and we are obviously above there. And then in terms of our custom indicator, we went from 3 to 0, which is your indication to buy long. And so overall, it was a very bullish action towards the end of the day, but we did have a rising wedge, which ended up, you know, with a red candle at the end. That said, though, when you look at tech in terms of a longer term time frame, let me put up a 4-hour chart for you guys. Check out this. This is Amazon on a 4-hour chart. Does this look familiar to you guys? This is a inverse head and shoulders. I think that we'll probably see Amazon at 3,200 going into the future. We crossed to the upside. I think that Amazon is pretty strong right now. And on top of that, when you look at NQ in terms of a long-term frame, we did just reject the 200-day moving average, but I think we'll end up retesting that tomorrow. So if we can get this inverse head shoulders to come to fruition, we'll see an extremely green day sometime this week, if not on Quadwitch, which is on Friday. Same thing kind of applies for ES. So notice ES had this kind of head shoulder break, and in comparison to QQQ, it has already started rising and has been bouncing on top of the 20 SMA this entire time. So overall, ES/SPY has been a lot more bullish than NQ because tech has been kind of beat up, and also because finance and more defensive sectors have been performing pretty well. So notice here's JP Morgan. JP Morgan, despite the whole market kind of sliding, has been pretty relatively chill, sitting on top of 50 SMA. We have a possible reversal to the upside at 153.62, and since then it's kind of bounced up $2. I'm waiting for the crossover to the upside to retest all-time highs, and so overall I think that is a pretty strong buy, and I would want to take it for a new all-time high. I also want to go over Costco again because I am swinging them. So Costco has this bull flag, and I think that with this reversal to the upside at 327, we need to break this 333.87 and we ride all the way up, ideally to the 200-day moving average on the 4-hour chart, but that's honestly kind of a stretch. So more so it's going to be like 340s where I take profit, and if it decides to keep running, well, that's just too bad. But by then I would have already made about 100% profit, so I won't be too mad. That said, I think that is those main stocks that I'm looking at. I'm also looking at ExxonMobil, mainly because of the holding of, where's my hourly chart? This holding below the hourly 200 SMA. So we need to see this thing break above 200 SMA. Otherwise, we're going to continue to see oil fall in price, because with the 50 SMA catching up, we're going to see this thing get pushed downwards as a bear flag. And if that ends up being the case, I will just be taking short positions on ExxonMobil until we can get a good crossover to the upside. Also, I'm swinging in Lemonade, so LMND. Lemonade recently reclaimed the 200-day moving average it totally ripped this head and shoulders apart, and we have a crossover along with a reset from oversold. So notice that we are currently heading down to 0, which is your ping to go to the upside. And on top of that, we need to just break this 50 SMA, which is only $1 above where we're at, so we can start going to reclaim the 110 marks. And ideally, we see this kind of happen tomorrow, and we capitalize on that position that we could take here. Lastly, I wanted to go over Microsoft because they've been relatively strong in comparison to the rest of tech. And notice again that same inverse head and shoulders. Here's our head. Here's our shoulder, head, shoulder. And it's been very choppy recently, but I think if we can get this crossover on the 4-hour, we have a neutral RSI. I think we can definitely see Microsoft head back up to maybe 240 marks. Overall, though, that is going to conclude this video. I appreciate you guys all for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Give any, suggestions, maybe constructive criticisms. I appreciate that. And that said, I will be concluding the video here. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.